lot of you have probably seen media headlines about games and their impact on kids. A lot of people are worried that games bring out the worst in us, that they might make kids more aggressive or more violent. Now, there's actually not a lot of research that shows that to be true at all. And so some scientists decided that they would try and look at the opposite side of that potential problem, which is to look at games where we are doing good things and to see if that has an impact on our real lives. And they looked at kids of all ages, and they found out that just by getting a kid to play a game like Super Mario Sunshine for 30 minutes, that they were able to increase the amount of time that kid spent helping other people in real life by 3 times the amount in the following week. So that a kid who played one of those games for just half an hour was 3 times more likely to help a family member clean up a mess, for example, or to help another student with their homework, or to help a neighbor with a chore. So this is really interesting. We've heard for so long that games bring out the worst in us, but instead we see this kind of literature and we find ourselves asking, is it possible that these games are bringing out the best in us? Another study that I found fascinating was done to look at music genre video games. So you know, like Rock Band or Guitar Hero? So they wanted to find out if these games were having any impact on whether we would play music in real life. So a lot of people were worried that if you played these video games, that you might be distracted from any of your real life musical goals, right? They would become like a substitute for real music. So what they found out was that 68% of these 7,000 gamers who did not currently own a musical instrument reported that after having one of these games for a month, they were inspired to actually go out and pick up a real musical instrument that they'd been playing in the game, like a guitar or a set of drums. But they also found out, and I think this is even more interesting, that 73% of these gamers who already owned a real guitar or owned a real set of drums reported playing that musical instrument more regularly after they got the video game. Now, this is really interesting, right? Instead of distracting us from something that matters to us in our real lives, is it possible that games could be serving as a gateway to real life goals? Okay, so another interesting study was done at Stanford University, and they wanted to see if playing video games, particularly playing games in which we have a gorgeous appearance, a really beautiful avatar, if this would impact our self-confidence. And what they were able to find is that 90 seconds of playing with an avatar that you found physically attractive, that you thought you were just looking really good with this avatar, just 90 seconds of that for an entire 24 hours afterwards improved your self-confidence dramatically at the workplace, in school, and most noticeably, in your interactions with members of the opposite sex. This is really a strange effect, I think, but promising. It makes you ask this question: is it possible that games are changing who we think we really are? The Army had done a study of 1,100 soldiers who were serving in Afghanistan, and they followed them for a year. And they wanted to see what coping mechanisms the soldiers were using to deal with the incredible stress of serving in the Army. So they looked at a lot of different activities. They looked at connecting with friends and family on Facebook, listening to music, reading books, working out at the gym, and also playing video games. And what they found is that the lowest rate of psychological distress corresponded with people who were spending 3 to 4 hours every day playing video games. And the only thing you can see on this chart that provided more protection from mental distress was working out at the gym for 5 to 6 hours a day. So I don't know about you guys, but the likelihood of me or my friends spending 5 to 6 hours a day at the gym is very, very low. But 3 to 4 hours playing video games, I do actually know a lot of people who do that already. So looking at this research, it makes you wonder. We don't know quite what the causal mechanisms are yet, but is it possible that games are actually protecting us from real harm? The answer to all the questions is yes. Of course, games do bring out the best in us when they're good games, when they're pro-social games. Games are a gateway to real-life goals when what we're doing in the game is something that we care about. Games do change who we think we really are for the better when we're playing as really idealized versions of ourselves. Games can protect us from real-life harm by filling our minds and bodies with positive emotions and positive experiences. And games can give us these kind of weird new superpowers to control our minds and do creative things even when we're asleep. So that's pretty awesome.